July 2nd, 2019. This is the Wrestling Inc. podcast talking about SmackDown Live. I'm Glenn Rubenstein, joined by Matt Morgan and Justin LaBar. Matt Morgan coming in hot.
Yeah, I'm cutting everybody off in the introductions here. You guys know what this is. You guys watch every single week. Yada, yada, yada. Glenn, myself, Justin. Yay. All right, great. Now on to the subject at hand. Tonight's show sucked. Sucked. And I was telling the guys before the show even started here on the podcast, I feel like doing tonight's podcast, I'm earning every damn penny because this would have been a show I would not have watched. No freaking way. What a contrast between last night and tonight's show. That's what closed out tonight's SmackDown. Nothing against the guys, obviously, but the show and how it was written. How do you guys not have? How do they not have enough pride who wrote that show tonight?
Yeah,
because it was not Bischoff. How do they not have enough pride in going? Well, wait a minute, we're being kind of pushed out of here. They're bringing Eric Bischoff in. Let's at least go out with a freaking bang. Let's show them that maybe they made the wrong decision of bringing Eric Bischoff in, and they should have stuck with us. No, none. Zero pride whatsoever. They phoned it in with their damn the show they wrote up tonight.
Yeah, it felt so inconsequential, so inessential. It might as well have been airing on the Sci-Fi Network.
The writers phoned it in, man.
Yeah, I mean, SmackDown hasn't felt like this in years.
Yes, I agree.
Justin, what did you think?
I'm back on Tuesday nights with you guys after SmackDown, and boy, I'm kind of regretting it right now.
Right? We used to be so excited to cover SmackDown, remember?
Yeah, no, this didn't stand at all next to Monday Night Raw, and not often in the past year have we said that, but this didn't hold a candle next to Raw.
No, it's an oxymoron almost, because SmackDown, well, up until the last, I'd say 6 months, not 8 months, I always thought SmackDown was smoking Raw week after week after week. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to do the podcast instead of Raw, if you remember, after a while, remember? And my schedules didn't work out that way. And you guys already had somebody doing it. Finally, we had an opening, and I was able to start doing SmackDown, and I was excited. We had Daniel Bryan coming back, whenever the hell that was, a year ago, I'm guessing, a year and a half ago. You know, AJ was a champion. They had some upward movement, at least, in the show. It always had great pacing to it. And then now it's like, I think I'm the curse. Honestly, folks at home watching, I think I'm the curse for SmackDown.
It's just this week and next week. So Eric Bischoff is not starting until it's been rumored, what, Justin, after Extreme Rules?
Yeah.
Was it a mistake?
Why don't you ask me, boy, time out. Why don't you ask me my opinion? I got a wrestling dirt sheet. I got my own wrestling dirt sheet. MattMorgan.org, wrestling rumors, and no?
You should. And it could just be like Wrestling Inc. You could just reskin it and just like have somebody recap all the rest.
Everybody else, the rest of these cats do that with their
content. True.
Sites. Why not?
Well, let me ask you your opinion on this, Matt. So with that in mind, given how much Raw and SmackDown have had creative issues lately, was it a mistake for the WWE to announce that Eric Bischoff was coming on board last Thursday?
Okay. Yes, for us being kind of excited especially after watching Raw last night, and some of us that aren't in the know, let's say, because I prefer not to be so much in the know. I didn't know Bischoff was not going to be part of tonight's show. I did not know that. I went online when I was about 10, 20 minutes into the show going, there's no way he's part of the show yet. And I went online and I had to read it, that he's not coming until after the pay-per-view. But I could tell that it was the same old crap again because of how badly it started off. But by the same token, I don't mean to hedge my bet here with my answer, but you guys, of course, it's somewhat smart saying that you're bringing in Eric Bischoff even prematurely to when he'll actually be starting, because it creates excitement, it creates electricity, it gets people to stop talking about AEW.
Yeah.
Justin. Well, let's keep something in mind though. Is that obviously Heyman? There's a difference here between Heyman and Bischoff coming in. Heyman has been involved with WWE for how many years, and even aside from his own character on screen stuff with Brock, he's working with talent individually, so he's kind of clued in. Mm-hmm. I can't speak entirely, but Eric Bischoff I know is not as clued in and hasn't been watching as much the last couple of years the way Paul Heyman. So even when Eric does start, it's going to take a little bit more time for him maybe to okay, where did these guys left off? Where can we close this so we can start this? It's going to be a little bit different. So everybody who we watched Raw last night, and Raw certainly had some Heyman type fingerprints on it with the pacing and with the edginess. I'm not expecting Eric Bischoff to come in and it to be Well,
here's the thing, you guys. One thing I will be able to say about Eric and working with him is that he's a huge, huge believer in storyline arcs. He's not a fan of shit canning storylines out of left field. because it just didn't work 1 week, and then they get all paranoid and terrified, crap their pants, and then they shit can an angle out of left field when some of us still wanted to see it play out. He will be disciplined enough in that regard. Also, he's a big believer in how the show is shot. That's what I'm most interested in with Eric, because I've been saying for years the show needs a new aesthetic feel. Eric's a big
TV guy.
Yeah, whatever. Thank you, TV guy, and he's big on what an aesthetic feel the viewer gets from watching a certain show that he shoots. TNA, he's the one who brought us that TNA Reaction show after TNA Impact was over, and I would argue Reaction was like 10 times better than Impact was. It was only like a half hour long, but it was way better. Like maybe an hour long, but we got more over doing, if some of us were featured on Reaction than we did on the actual Impact for 2 hours. It was much, much better, and it was shot completely differently. It had a different, again, aesthetic view. If you're the viewer watching this at home, it looked grainy, it looked gritty, it looked very, very different from the rest of what our normal show did. So that's what I was looking forward to, and I am going to be looking forward to with SmackDown. I think it will finally, eventually, whether it's off the bat, after the pay-per-view, or it does take time, like you said, he will implement that. I'll guarantee you he changes somewhat of the aesthetic feel to that show. Maybe with starting out with certain angles at first, and then eventually the whole show, but we will see glimpses of it.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
I don't know. I guarantee you his first week, 2 weeks from tonight, is going to be better than what we saw tonight. There's no way it could be worse.
Us three could easily write a better show. That's terrible for me to say, but that's... Sorry, tonight was terrible.
Tonight was bad. We opened with Kevin Owens coming out for the Kevin Owens show. His guests were Shane McMahon and Drew McIntyre, and he wants to talk about what happened last night on Raw. We talked about a lot tonight what happened last night on Raw, whether it was the Braun Bobby spot, and then the Undertaker coming out. So Kevin did his shtick. I thought this part actually started off good, but then when Dolph Ziggler came out, I like Kevin dressing him down, talking about you've been here 8 years, you were good, then you weren't, then you weren't, then you weren't, really giving him a dose of truth. And then wouldn't you know it, they got paired up as an impromptu tag team that were going to face off in the main event against Heavy Machinery, stipulation being that if they won, they'd be added to the SmackDown Tag Team title match at Extreme Rules to make it a triple threat. What did you think of Owens in this segment, Matt?
He's always good. I thought he was good, but I don't know. I would have I paid closer attention to Drew. I would watch him more for Drew, because he has an opportunity at an angle with Undertaker in any way, shape, or form. So you want to ballpark every promo you get, because how many chances do you get to really work with Undertaker?
Yeah.
And I'm watching him. His delivery, I'm his biggest fan too, and I hate saying this, but it was hokey.
It was robotic.
It was very slow.
Yeah.
And Undertaker, it was so, you know what I mean? It was over the top, a little too slow.
I completely agree, Matt. I actually thought for a split second when Drew was delivering that promo and he was sitting there, I thought maybe he was purposely mocking Kevin Owens, who Owens was purposely being robotic, going off of each card, being being not enthusiastic. I thought maybe he was mocking Owens, and then I was like, no, he's just delivering this promo. It was very, very robotic. I agree. I don't know what's up with that.
I don't know if something has to do. This might sound silly to you guys, but it might have something to do with sitting down versus standing up. Sometimes I'm 1,000% better if I'm able to walk around the ring a little bit with the mic in my hand. I'm way more comfortable doing that because I can feel the crowd. Right? When you're sitting there, it's a little different. You know what I mean? You kind of feel like on Front Street. And you're sitting there in this ridiculous looking outfit and what's supposed to be a show, if you will, an interview show, and you're wearing this ridiculous outfit because you're not there to wrestle. You're there to do an interview, but yet you're wearing wrestling. It's just there's so much to it that feels awkward. And I'm making an excuse for him, I know, because I like him, and he's been ballparking everything lately. This was just one he didn't ballpark, but that's what stuck out to me more than anything else. And Kevin Owens being witty, generally, as he always is.
Wait, Matt, you're telling me you don't feel comfortable cutting a promo standing in boots and a Speedo?
No. I mean, I standing there, yes. Sitting there, it's so weird. It's so awkward if you're supposed to be on an interview show. The other thing is, we did Family Feud once with TNA, you guys. That was super uncomfortable. We had to wear wrestling gear.
Oh.
Like, what the hell? Why? We're not going to wrestle. Do you know what I mean?
Steve Harvey, TNA? Or Steve Harvey, Family Feud?
Yes, he clowned the hell out of us, rightfully so.
Yeah.
My man, put some pants on,
Yes,
please.
that's all I heard. It was hilarious.
Somebody send me a link to that. I want to see that episode if it's online. Somebody send me a
episode? Oh no, my friend. It's the gift that keeps on giving. We shot 5 days worth.
I'm going to watch the whole week.
episodes.
I'm going to watch the whole week. Send it to me, somebody.
I can't wait till like some of our viewers are like really high one late night and they turn on the Game Show Network and there's Matt Morgan and Steve Harvey.
It's terrible. Mick Foley is the only one with the right idea, rocking his flannel long sleeve shirt that he wears everywhere else.
Yeah. Wow.
The rest of us look like goofs.
So Kevin Owens was getting booed tonight. Justin, what do you make of that reaction and how they played him tonight? He was a little in between.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what to think here. Like a few weeks ago, he was heel up against Kofi Kingston. Now he was like the babyface who was calling out Shane and Drew for being cowards. So you know, I'll be honest with you. This was the only time in the night, and I wasn't expecting this tonight. But this was, speaking of Eric Bischoff, this was the only time that I see this go down. I see Shane in there, and Shane's getting ready to make this match of like all this stuff. For a minute, I thought, all right, maybe this is when Eric Bischoff does show up. Because there was a rumor of him and that he was being advertised locally, and it might have been false. But this was the only time where I was like, all right, you know, Owens is being a face. I don't get it. Shane's trying to still use his muscle. This was the one time I thought maybe Eric comes out and just trump cards all of them. Didn't happen. And after that, I was like, all right, he's not showing up. But that was the only time because everything was a little bit odd to me. I didn't understand. I mean, Owens wasn't bad, but it was just confusing to me. Because Drew's robotic. Shane is not saying anything new, and I'm a big Shane fan, but he's not saying anything new to me. Dolph, I'm sorry, I just don't. I'm going with him. I don't care.
He's really overstaying his welcome.
Could you imagine night after Extreme Rules, Shane McMahon comes out, tries to cut the best in the world thing. Eric Bischoff comes out with a big broom like the Sandman at the Apollo Theater and just looks at him and goes, "You're not a wrestler. Get the hell out of here." It'd be the biggest pop we've ever heard on SmackDown.
Yeah, it would be.
If we never had to see Shane McMahon again in this current iteration. Big E versus Daniel Bryan tonight. What'd you think of this match, Matt?
Good. This match was good because I see Big E, honest to God, as a future heavyweight champion, singles. I think we all do, right? So I was looking forward to this match. If I was him, I would have treated this match as a test match with WWE. See what he can do against someone like as good as Daniel Bryan in a singles connotation. You know what I mean? To show he can get over by himself. And I thought he did. I thought it was a great match.
Justin?
Yeah, no, I agree. Everything Matt said. I think he can go as a singles guy. He's got charisma. He's got speed. He's got power. He's kind of, he doesn't look it from his, he's not a Randy Orton build. He's not a Drew McIntyre build, but he's a 5-tool sports entertainer, pro wrestling performer. Really I like the match. I like the finish with a Rowan getting a little involved in the outside. It was good timing in terms of knocking out Big E, taking the elbow to a flying Xavier Woods. I thought this was probably the highlight. Quite honestly, probably the show if we're talking bell to bell.
Me too. Yeah.
Yeah, and Daniel Bryan won that match with the assist from Rowan. After that, we had our Truth Backstage, talked about going essentially on Drake Maverick's or Hornswoggle's honeymoon.
I thought this was terrible, this whole backstage.
It's kind of like we were talking about last night with the Street Profits. I mean, our Truth.
It missed with me. And yes, I thought the same thing, Glenn. I was thinking about you, ironically enough. Because the first thought in my head came, oh, geez, here we go again. Negative stereotypes. There they go again. They can't freaking refuse it. They can't. It's not even a low-hanging fruit anymore, dude. The freaking fruit's on the ground, Glenn.
Yeah.
And they're picking it back up from 1985 on top of it.
Yes.
It's so frustrating.
And to that point, you know what it reminded me of? I was like, what does this remind me of? And I was thinking about Vince and his antiquated views. And I was like, Vince wants Truth to do buckwheat from Saturday Night Live.
It's terrible. It's so much better than that. If you guys only knew how talented this dude
Truth is the best.
Top of his head, best rapper I've ever heard in my life. And besides the fact, athleticism-wise, what he can do in that ring, what he can do on the mic. I mean, go back. He got little Jimmy over, for crying out loud. Are you kidding me? Like, he got that over. He's so damn good. I get they buried him for years. I understand that. But I don't like seeing this, though. I just don't.
Yeah, it's too far, I think, with this. Yeah. So after that, we got Alexa Bliss, Nikki Cross backstage. Alexa saying, hey, Nikki, you go out and do a moment of bliss with Bayley. They went out together. got into it, setting up the match, Nikki Cross versus Bayley, that happened tonight. What do you think, Matt, of commentary now just calling Nikki socially awkward so much? Like, they're really pushing it so hard.
What did they used to call Dean Ambrose? What was his gimmick?
The lunatic.
Lunatic Fringe. It reminds me of the same thing with Michael Cole screaming at every like 10 seconds.
Yeah,
he's crazy. He's crazy. It's the same thing here. It's overblown, overdone. But let's take that out of the equation. In general, this was a really big opportunity, I thought, for Nikki Cross.
Sure.
Any microphone time you get is amazing, and she got a ton of it. I thought she did pretty solid because I'm not a Nikki Cross fan. I'm not. But I don't know. I think she's improving each time she gets the opportunity. What do you think, Justin?
You know, I think that it's weird. Nikki, well, first off, this is, we talk about Eric Bischoff and like in story arcs. This is actually some story they seem to have some dedication to. They seem to have some bigger plan for this because they're really building some dynamics between Nikki Cross and Alexa and this manipulation of the outcast. Oddly enough, as I watched Nikki Cross sit there and host the show next to Bayley, and Bayley certainly has had a rough run since being on the main roster. Things have not gone as well for her as it did in NXT. You know, in NXT, I mean, she was like the John Cena of NXT. She hasn't had that on Raw or SmackDown. I look at Nikki Cross, and oddly, Nikki Cross is kind of on the path I think they wanted for Bayley in the sense of like she's supposed to be, you know, she's not one of the cool girls, so to speak. She kind of just believes in herself, although Nikki Cross is a little bit darker than what Bayley is, but she believes in herself, and she's meant to be a good person in the end. She's meant to be the baby face. I kind of feel like people are kind of connecting a little bit more to Nikki Cross naturally and organically, and that was the way that they wanted Bayley to connect on Raw or SmackDown. And for whatever reason, a lot of it booking and creatively, it just didn't work on those initial runs for Bayley. If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I actually think her awkwardness is charming. It kind of works in a quirky way. And I look forward to her snapping again because she does do crazy so well.
Yeah.
It'll be good. I think Bayley kind of looked a little bland by comparison tonight in this segment.
Yeah. Yeah.
If WWE ever wants to bring Raven back, I'd love to see a Raven Nikki Cross vignette.
That'd be something. So we got Nikki Cross versus Bayley tonight in this match, and Bayley picked up the win here, so they're just going back and forth with this. I mean, Nikki gets added to that match at Extreme Rules, right, Matt, at this point?
Yes.
Yeah. It'll be a triple threat. Maybe she wins. I feel like they got something invested in her. I mean, Justin, do you feel like with Bayley as a character right now, it's pretty cold?
Yeah, well, I don't know if I could. Yeah, it's just it is what it is. I mean, she had such a big pop when she won. I mean, they're at least featuring her every week. They at least got her involved in something. I mean, I don't know if I'd say it's ice cold, but it's not like they didn't follow up on the momentum that they had on the huge pop when she won and she ran into the crowd. It felt like Bayley's night. Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
This match will result in Nikki Cross getting added. Nikki Cross will somehow do something that costs Bliss, either intentionally or unintentionally, and then it's going to break those two down.
And those two will go off together. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's talk about Ali's promo tonight that they showed. They've been showing these vignettes. How did tonight stack up for you, Matt?
I dug it.
Yeah.
I dug it. I think he's getting more and more comfortable, too, you could see.
Calling out the WWE Championship, that's what he wants to go for. I mean, which if they're putting him in that scene, that is definitely a step up. And
talk about low-hanging fruit. I'm glad they're not going with the typical gimmick they would go with a guy named Ali. I'm glad they're just letting him be him.
I mean, yeah, I feel like have they done it yet? I'm surprised if they haven't.
Not really. I mean, I know he's addressed it on social media and stuff like that. Of like, he doesn't have to be. And I know he dresses in the Indies too, not having to be stereotyped as the Middle Eastern character, the terrorist, essentially.
It's so stupid. It's so stupid. It works. It's counterproductive. I don't get it. So that's cool. They're not doing it with him at least. Yeah.
Well, and he's picking up the torch from this, right? Kofi cut like 2 promos like this in the run-up to WrestleMania, and he's dropped it ever since. I think it's refreshing to hear somebody talk about why they want to be champion more than just to prove I'm the best or because I deserve it.
Yes, 100% agree. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I felt him tonight.
Yeah, but compare that then to Kofi doing the pancake shit, and it's just like night and day difference. I want some of this heart back in Kofi.
Me too.
So speaking of which, Samoa Joe came out, Kofi came out, they addressed each other. Joe was trying to get him to shake his hand, saying, we're going to wait to settle this at Extreme Rules. Ultimately, this ended in Kofi flipping off Joe. They traded words a little bit before that. I don't know. I mean, Matt, are you still excited for this? What's probably going to be a ladders match at Extreme Rules?
Yes. Again, it's different, you guys, and I gotta call it the way I see it, and I got to be honest with the fans watching at home. When some of these guys are like my really, really, really good friends, like Joe is, it's hard for me not to be biased, to not be interested, because I'm excited for my friend. You know what I mean? So I can't put that in its own box, and that's like the one setup I can't really watch as a legit fan. I don't think. Do you know what I mean? I mean, watching from a wrestler's perspective and seeing how that match goes and seeing what Joe's getting in as far as offense goes and what the WWE is wanting from this. I'm nervous that they're just using Joe to get Kofi a win, right? To get him a win against somebody that's better than Dolph Ziggler, which Kofi desperately does need. We said it week in and week out now when we're begging for this Dolph Ziggler angle to friggin' die already because it kills Kofi. Kofi needs to beat legitimate competition finally. And Joe's better than Dolph.
Yeah. Justin?
Yeah, I mean that's all I look for out of this. I look for Kofi getting a win against the guy just to continue. Kofi's had an incredible winning streak of being booked winning, whether it's title or non-title, since becoming champion. So I look for this just to be one more, like Matt said, somebody a little bit more credible right now than Dolph Ziggler. When I watched this promo, I was kind of at first it was like really elementary in the whole shake my hand, and I couldn't help but if you ever watched Django Unchained. Just before the dentist shoots Calvin Candy, and Calvin Candy's insisting you shake my hand, no deals. I just had that in my head. It was just this really weird exchange. But I got to say, I popped like most people did when Kofi flicked him off. And we all want a little bit. We all want a little bit of attitude and edge. I liked it. I liked the fact that it wasn't just happy-go-lucky pancake Kofi. I like that. So.
We got to get credit for that. You're right. Good call.
Yeah, by the end of it had me. But at the leading up to this whole handshaking thing, I was like, well, this is kind of hokey.
What's that?
Do you know what I mean, Glenn? We're just crapping on him for being like friggin', happy-go-lucky, phony Kofi. And that
was real.
That's a good little edge in there, right?
But the way the WWE does it tonight on WWE Shop, pancakes and middle fingers. T-shirts, Selling New Day. Oh my God, foam middle fingers. That's right there. That's like a brilliant WWE piece of merchandise. No, I thought it was good. It's just they got to do some more. They got to do some more with him.
Yes.
Yeah.
Agreed.
And then we had Andrade versus Apollo Cruz. So Zelina Vega was out there. I feel like there could be a really good story here, but I still really don't know why this is happening, aside from that little interaction they had backstage. I mean, I guess because of that interaction they had backstage where Apollo was talking to Zelina.
It was cold. It was cold.
Cold.
In general, it was a cold. But the match itself was good. The guys are very good. They both talents. But again, it just felt thrown out there.
Yeah, this felt like a Friday night SmackDown match.
Yeah, totally. And Apollo's nasty. Like, if is it my company? I'm being dead serious. I'm exaggerating. He is a freak athlete, and he's a good guy. He's never going to get in trouble on the road. He's never going to mess with drugs. He's never going to womanize. He's never going to do any of that crap. He's as straight up an arrow as you can get. And he's still feeling that out in the ring, right? And feeling out who he is as a young man. And I think his potential is unlimited for my money. Seriously, I think he's insanely underrated.
Kevin Owens and Dolph Ziggler were backstage. I'm glad these guys didn't really have amazing chemistry together, but it seems like they're going to be the feud going forward for the two of them based on how the match happened, which we'll talk about in a moment. But Alistair Black talked more about the knock on his door and said, hey, come reveal yourself at Extreme Rules. I'm hoping and praying it's not Bray Wyatt. What did you think of this promo, Matt?
I thought it was Bray Wyatt.
That's so terrible because one of them has to lose.
I know. Trust me, I know.
Not necessarily.
What, like a count out?
You got two characters who I just categorize as supernatural.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
You know, it's like Undertaker, Kane. They don't play by the same rules. They can do things.
Come out their butts if they wanted to. Yes.
Right.
Yep.
So when you have two characters that are supernatural, and the first time they're coming face to face, that doesn't mean you need to have that's not a sport win-loss match, man. That you don't know what could happen. You could one of them could blow the other one off. You don't know. It's, you know.
I'm shooting out electroshockers to all the fans. That crap can happen.
But Bray's promos have been a 10. Alistair's at
he's been nowhere to be seen. He's had these dark blackout segments.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
so how is that going to get them both? I mean, I think it'll do more for Alistair than it will for Bray at this point.
We need to hope we're wrong, and it is not Bray.
Yeah, I don't think it is. I think it's going to be somebody established for Alistair Black to try to eventually get over, like a Randy Orton.
Randy would be good.
Yeah,
Randy
I don't think it's Bray for what it's worth.
Yeah, but I feel like the way they're building it, I don't know. It's very strange. It's very bad. I wish that we would go back to seeing what a badass Alistair was in the ring, rather than what is it now, like 8 weeks of these promos that we've been.
No, but you know what? But this is the way it should have been in the first place. When they hot shotted him and Baton Rouge, Louisiana, or wherever the hell wherever the hell they were, Baton Rouge, or wherever when they brought him and Ricochet out of nowhere, and they should have been tag team in the first place. This is the Alistair Black we should have got from the start. It should have been a long wait of promos, make you wait and pay to see him in the ring. So I kind of want to just forget about those 2 months of Alistair Black and a tag team with Ricochet. I have no problem with this, Glenn. This is the way it should have been from the start of Alistair Black coming to.
We have forgotten about it though, with those horrible backstage.
Which is fine. Glenn was saying, Matt, he was saying how he wants to see Alistair's a badass in the ring, and I say I'm fine with milking this and waiting to see it again.
But this isn't. I mean, Justin, just to correct, you think these promos are good that Alistair's been doing?
I think in a time right now where we have several characters who are kind of doing, you know, when you have a Bray Wyatt over here who's doing this just wacky mind acid trip. I like Alistair Black's straightforward in a black room. I don't think it needs a lot of razzle dazzle. I'm fine with it. It's a lot of riddle and rhyme, but I'm okay with it once I see the payoff. Now, let's see who it is. If it's Randy Orton, it's going to be kind of odd that Randy Orton was the one knocking on the door. But from a booking X's and O's standpoint, it makes sense if Alistair Black gets over on Randy Orton by the end of the summer. But I don't know who else it could be. Like, is there some other character is there somebody else that's on the sidelines that we're waiting for right now that could answer it? I don't.
More importantly, we got to go back to what you just said. I'm sorry, but we got to go back to what you said as far as you rather have him be straightforward. F that. No, we don't want him to be straightforward. We want him to be this epic, larger-than-life persona that we got from NXT. That's what we want. We don't want him in a closet somewhere where it's completely blacked out and one little cool candle in the background that we're supposed to be, ooh, crap, he might be in the church, he might not. Where is he? I don't know. Do you know what I mean? Like, he has the depth. That character has a crap ton of depth to it. As far as we're looking at an onion, that thing had like 5 layers already built into it. We're bringing him up from NXT. They crapped on it by having him tag team with Ricochet, right? So then we're supposed to be forgetting about it with this vignette mania of his that they've been having him do, where he just cuts all these worthless promos. And I don't mean worthless in what he's saying. I mean worthless in how it was shot. Worthless in the energy the writing team put in behind it. Do you know what I mean? Give him the energy. Give that dude the energy you're giving Bray Wyatt with all his creativity.
Yeah, Bray's doing groundbreaking work. Ali is doing something on the streets that feels raw but feels very real. Meanwhile, yes, Randy Orton's knocking at the door because Alistair Black is in the bathroom shooting these things, and Randy really has to pee.
Totally is. Yes.
I wouldn't mind. Alistair Black's talked about how his character is somewhat inspired by Colt, and I guess his dad was in a Colt stuff. I'd love to see some Alistair Black produced stuff of him leading these masses of people to the Kool-Aid, essentially.
Because even his entrance alone was better in NXT.
Well, I'm asking if there's guys on the sideline that could come back. I'm trying to think, other than Bray Wyatt, my boy Sheamus, he's healthy now and he's looking jacked. If you haven't seen Sheamus in the pictures, take a look at him. He's ripped to all hell for a guy who's almost 40 years old. Maybe another guy, again, random. Why is Sheamus knocking on the door? But I don't know.
Because he's got to take a dump. He's taking up the stall. Remember? What do you mean?
Yeah, it's
actually Vince knocking on the door.
That would be interesting.
Damn it! I got a turtle head poking it.
Hey pal, this coffee's going right through me.
So
wrap it up.
I'm not going to fart because it's a sign of weakness.
So Ember Moon versus Mandy Rose tonight. We got that, and yeah, I mean that they dropped the story element. They talked a little about it on commentary, what we've seen in recent weeks. But the good news is Ember picked up a win tonight. That Eclipse looked awesome. She looked awesome. What did you think of the match and where this is going, Matt?
I liked it, and I don't know. I did like it for literally for the reason you just said, because you got to win.
Yeah,
she needed one. Her finisher, though, good Lord, I don't know how she's able to do that. Every time she hits it, I'm like, oh, my back, my spine. Like, I don't know how she hits that. She's crazy athletic, man.
Yeah, she would actually be good paired with Alistair Black. They have complementary gimmicks to one another.
Huh. Yeah.
Something.
Yeah.
It makes sense. Justin, where do you think they go from this, or do you think it's just going to peter out with her and Mandy?
Yeah, I don't see much more going with her and Mandy. I will say I'm a big fan of Ember Moon. I actually said it a couple weeks ago. My wife was in the room, and I just happened. Ember Moon was making her entrance, and my wife hadn't. She stays on the periph, will know who's around, and she was not familiar with her. And I just said, I was like, well, I think she's got one of the best finishers right now going. And that was a couple weeks ago, and Ember Moon didn't hit the finisher. Well, she hit it tonight, and I made a point to pause the TV and have my wife come in the room. I said, here, watch this. And, she's got a ton of potential again, and just somebody else who it's like you need some story for. They do a lot of mixed tags these days. Her character could kind of jive with the Alistair Black. I don't know about right now, but again, Ember Moon's another one that I would almost classify in that little bit of that supernatural, where the rules can be bent with her, and that's there's a lot of potential creatively in that. Yeah.
So Sonya Deville did come to the ring afterwards to check on Mandy Rose. I think maybe they're going to go with that storyline that they've been lightly hinting at, but who knows? Shelton Benjamin, female voice, asked him who will win the WWE title match at Extreme Rules. Shelton smiled, kept smiling, looking around. It was awkward, and he walked off. Matt, any guesses as to what in the hell's going on here?
Nothing.
Justin.
I'll be curious to see if they give Shelton Benjamin a 5-year contract to make sure he doesn't go to AEW.
Perhaps.
While he's doing nothing else for them.
Yes. Maybe he's the father of Maria's unborn child. We'll talk about that in a moment. But first, the main event tonight. Heavy Machinery versus Kevin Owens and Dolph Ziggler. Stipulation being if KO and Dolph won, they were going to get added to the title match against Daniel Bryan and Eric Rowan at Extreme Rules. There was interference. They went to commercial. They came back. We started the match. Heavy Machinery ended up winning because, gosh darn it, KO and Dolph just couldn't get along and work together as a team.
This is 2 weeks in a row where Dolph got an opportunity to wrestle for a title or a championship if he won his match.
Yeah.
Last week it was Kofi. This week it's this.
Yeah.
But we do get on them an awful lot by saying these matches don't have any not stipulations, but don't have anything up for
stakes.
Any stakes, thank you. Stakes. Well, they've given stakes, no offense to him, but with the wrong talent. They need to give stakes to other talents in which we want to see them come up and win and make good on those stakes that they just won. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, don't waste it on Dolph, because Dolph, we're checked out with him. And he's a buddy of mine. I don't mean to say it in a negative way about him. It's just how they booked him over the years. You know what I mean? It's like nobody was sitting there rooting for Dolph to win.
Yeah. No, I agree. Justin, did this match do anything for you?
Well, the stipulation of the match is main event worthy. When you have a match where it's saying the winner gets to be added into a title match. The participants in the match does not make it main event worthy in the sense of there was no doubt in my mind. Obviously, Heavy Machinery is winning this, right? They're not going to have this random pairing of Owens and Ziggler be put in the match. So, I didn't like it in the main event spot. I didn't like it in that regard.
Heavy Machinery should be there yet, right?
Right, but you know what? I'll say this: if you go back and watch that finish, though.
Oh, dude, they're very good.
Heavy Machinery got the people behind them,
dude,
so on that regard, it's good for them, and we always want them showcasing new talent, and this was kind of cool to see a new team being ushered in of getting their first tag title shot, and getting to earn it in a main event spot. So it's I'm kind of 50-50. I like that end of it, but at the same point, when it's 9:50 and I got the last commercial and I'm like, I really don't need to watch this last segment. I know what's going to happen. That's the problem.
Yeah, I had a hard time with it being heavy machinery that's closing out the show.
And Big E and Xavier Woods were also ringside at a custom announce table with a bunch of pancakes. Pancakes went flying at some point. Yeah. So Heavy Machinery won. We got one more SmackDown until Extreme Rules. After Ziggler approached Owens, Owens hit him with a stunner, claimed that SmackDown's his show, the KO show, and SmackDown went off the air. One more. Yeah. No, that was good. And then one more until Eric Bischoff comes and saves us all.
So are Owens and Zayn not friends anymore now that Owens back to being a good guy?
I don't know. He is a good guy. That's the thing. I think he's kind of in the middle, right?
Yeah, it is weird. I don't know.
I'm hoping once Eric gets there, like that is one of the features, because Kevin Owens deserves it. He's already proven he's good enough.
Well, remember Zayn is on Raw. Owens is on SmackDown.
It doesn't matter, Glenn.
They showed some restraint tonight.
Oh, same thing.
Yeah, the wild card rule last night's night has been a little muted compared to weeks past.
Yes.
Yes. So let's talk about the news stories. Big one being that Maria Kanellis is pregnant and informed the WWE after she and Mike Kanellis signed new 5-year deals, rumored to be worth, what is it, like $500,000 a year, I believe, for the both of them, or is it each? Do you have any details on that, Justin?
I don't know. I don't remember what the total is. I know it's 5 years. I know it's a good chunk of change. I don't know what the total is. Yeah, I mean, obviously, first off, congratulations to them having another child. That's obviously always great for a couple. This is, when you look at this, they came to WWE after building their stock up in ROH and other places, and so it was like good for them. And then when they made the debut, WWE totally blindsided us a little bit. They took her last name. They did this love gimmick, so it was different. So they came in and they made a splash, and then literally since then, whether it be because of pregnancy, injury, or Mike getting clean, good for him, there's just been no momentum. Now, recently they got some momentum on 205 Live. I think it caught a lot of people off guard, at least fans, that they get a 5-year deal when, again, they really haven't done much. And obviously, I think a lot of people like myself that, okay, this is a deal that, again, to keep them from going elsewhere while WWE's in this protective mode. And then it's like you get this new deal, and then all of a sudden she's pregnant again, and so she can't wrestle again. I mean, I don't know. It's an odd timeline. I don't want to.
Listen, you don't want Maria wrestling to begin with. No offense to Maria.
Well, but never mind.
She can still cut promos.
Right, and so my point is, Matt, she doesn't need to wrestle. The fact that they started to use her pregnancy and what seems to be a storyline, that's fine to me. If that gives justification to allow her to stay on the road longer until she gets to the physical point of where she can't be on the road anymore, so you can get something out of her, then I'm all for this. If they're going to say she's pregnant, and then like a week or two she's gone, and we don't see her again for another year, it just seems like such a weird investment to make in.
Well, hang on. Didn't you just say that they didn't tell WWE that she was pregnant until they got that new contract?
That's what I'm hearing. Now I take that with a grain of salt, because again, I take that with a grain of salt. But if that's true, if they got this new 5-year deal and then a week or 2 or 3 later it went, oh yeah, by the way, I'm pregnant. I mean, that's just kind of.
If you did that, great, good on you.
Talk about great child support, huh?
Your family comes first. Sorry, WWE. So you guys screwed over so many boys and the guys and girls over the years. Oh well, tough.
Yeah.
Medicine.
No, it makes me like her all the more.
Yes, it does.
No, and so what about these rumors, Justin, that they were talking before there were about this cookholding storyline? Because it seems like last night that's really where it's going with how she was dressing down Mike, the way commentary was dressing him down. I'm assuming there's going to be some storyline about who's the father of this child.
I was waiting for Tommy Dreamer to pop up, man. I mean,
I hope it was just a gimmick to. I don't know.
You want that to be a one-off, Matt? You don't want any answers?
No. I want Mike to get some sort of comeuppance, not to her, but somehow out of this. You know what I mean? I don't know what it is or how they do it, but it can't just be poor Mike. It's buried like that.
He's going to face the father of that child at SummerSlam. I think that's the feud, is that you build that up.
Freaking way. There's no way Heyman could put that. God bless him. He could.
Yowie wowie.
Ring was bad.
Yowie wowie. Bray Wyatt impregnated Maria. It all makes sense. That's where he's been. He took her off to the Firefly Funhouse, and there it was. right there.
The last thing Bray Wyatt and that crazy ass character of his is worried about is fiddling around with his noodle. Okay, let's just. I can't imagine him.
Hey, he impregnated JoJo. Now he's off to Maria. He's hitting Diva Search and ring announcers by the day. Lillian Garcia better watch her ass.
No, I think that would hurt his character.
Yeah, but I don't know. We'll see with Mike and Maria. I'll tell you that segment last night, next to the Braun.
I would argue more so. I think this was more talked about.
Yeah. I mean, this is talked about. I doubt they drop it. I think they're going to keep it going. But I do think Mike does get his victory at the end. He does ultimately. That's how this feud ends, right? And that's how you write Maria off TV when she's too pregnant to keep appearing. Mike defeats whatever man potentially did this. I'm sure they'll allege somebody did it, whether in storyline they ever reveal.
You don't think it's Maria being a heel to set everybody up that these two are kind of on the outs, but in reality she screws over whoever his opponent is to eventually give him the win? And they fooled everybody, hook, line, and sinker.
It's like what they do. It's like what they did with Lana and Rusev.
Yeah, but that was one episode. If this is an arc, you know,
where he just gets buried and absolutely, emasculated. You know what I mean?
Well, if Eric Bischoff's coming in, if we go back to hot lesbian action, he might have Maria as a lesbian before she has this next baby.
Good Lord, Justin.
Well, I'm just a historical reference, you know, talking about Bischoff and story arcs. I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah.
But that does sound like a Vince pitch where it's like, oh, and every week he comes in and she emasculates him more and parades him in, and someone in creative goes, but eventually Mike gets the win, right? And Vince is like, no, he just keeps going lower and lower and lower.
Yes, I verbatim, word for word, maybe even, Glenn, you may be right.
We'll see.
It is random because Mike was getting some momentum with 205 Live, so it is random. So you would think, because of how random this is, you'd think they have some purpose to this, like some actual long.
Or better, it caught fire, right? Everyone was talking about it. This was so much better than what we thought this was going to be. Now we've got to do something with it. Let's act on it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We shall see. Seth Rollins apologized to Will Ospreay.
Saw that. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. He's a Universal Champion at WWE, the biggest brand there is, right? Monopoly, a lot of people like to say. No, the AEW not so much, right? But still, you know, he's in the promised land, right? He's playing for the New York Yankees. He's Derek Jeter at the moment, right? So for him to even do that, I was pretty impressed with, because in wrestling, you're always taught if you're number one, you don't really sell for number two. You don't mention number two ever because they're not worthy of it. As arrogant as that sounds, that's what you're kind of not verbatimly taught. But no one verbalizes this to you or says this to you, but that's kind of what the confidence and arrogance you get from working at a major company like that. And for him to do that, I was actually really impressed with that, to apologize the way he did.
Yeah, and he apologized for suggesting they compare bank accounts, but he stands by his comments that WWE.
He should stand by his comments. He's the Universal World, whatever the hell it is, World Heavyweight Champion at WWE. He should be saying that. He should be thinking that.
Yeah.
Every wrestler should think that about themselves. Every single one should.
Yeah.
What do you want him to say? Like, actually, you know what? I'm probably like a 4-star wrestler, and this guy's probably a 5-star wrestler. You know what? Here's my championship title. WWE, please sign him. He's better than me. No. He should be saying those things if asked. I guess he wasn't asked, though.
So there is a belief that Gallows and Anderson have agreed to terms on a new WWE deal, and that might be part of the reason why they reunited with AJ Styles. They're getting this push with the club back together. Justin, is anything confirmed about this?
I don't know of anything being officially confirmed. I personally don't think that they've agreed to terms. I think that this is WWE, Paul Heyman, whatever. I think this is an attempt to try to get these guys to stay around. And yeah, it's 3 years too late to team them up with Styles, but it doesn't mean that, even though it's 3 years too late, it doesn't mean it can't still work. If done right, it could still work. So I think this is to try to dangle and keep them to get them to sign again. I don't think they have. I don't know that for sure, but I don't think they have. But so we'll find out here in a couple months if they're still showing up on WWE TV or not.
Honestly, to get them to re-sign, what I would do if they're just hell bent on not re-signing, let's say, what I would have done, I would have went to Gallows one-on-one. Said, you know, the first run you had here as fast as yada yada yada. Now we brought you back as a tag team. It didn't work well. Well, here's the deal. We think you're a main event talent as a singles act.
Oh.
We want to sign you for X amount of money. Now you break that team up, and Gallows sticks around. I'm saying if I was WWE, I was desperate to keep that tag team here, not go to AEW. I would do my damnedest to break them up. Just being a businessman, I'm saying a smart businessman. Because if they go to AEW as a tag team, I'm sorry, WWE, right off the gate, AEW's tag team division is 1,000 times better.
You're right, and Gallows and Anderson are an interesting situation, unlike most of the other talents since this AEW situation comes up. Because the moment that AEW cropped up, that changed the leverage for WWE with these two guys. Because before AEW became a thing, Gallows and Anderson, if they leave WWE, they go back to Japan. That's where their huge stars at. You know, Gallows is in Georgia. I think Anderson's in Ohio. They have their kids. They have their kids. They want to be back here. They don't want to be away from them. The kids are getting older, and so that's the one thing, is that's the one downside of Japan, is they're gone for half the year over there. But now that AEW crops up and AEW's got money, and AEW is in the States, and AEW is not going to have as demanding of a tour schedule, and AEW would foster a team and talent like them. The moment AEW popped up, that made Gallows and Anderson, that gave them huge leverage in this situation. So,
Same with Mike and Maria, for crying out loud. They never would have been re-signed otherwise.
Yeah. So this is So I mean, but to answer your question, Glenn, no, I don't think they've signed again. They might have verbally said. They might have verbally said to WWE, yeah, start putting us in the main event, give us some bigger paydays, put us with AJ. We'll take a look at these contracts a little bit closer, but I don't think anything's been signed in paper yet.
I have no idea about this. I'm just making my guess. I think they have.
Well, we shall see. Stay tuned to Wrestling Inc. for all the latest details on that situation. Now, Raw's ratings were up last night. It did 2.496 million viewers. That is up 10% from last week's 2.75 million viewers. And what is interesting is while the first hour drew 2.468 million viewers, it was up in the second hour, 2.676, and the drop to the third hour was only 5%. These might seem like small incremental changes, but compared to the trend between hour 1 and hour 3, this is huge, and an upward trajectory is definitely something they don't see often lately on Monday Night Raw.
Yeah.
So that's the Paul Heyman effect. Now, one thing we didn't talk about earlier is during that opening segment with the Kevin Owens show, they did announce that The Undertaker and Roman Reigns versus Shane O'Mac and Drew McIntyre will be no holds barred at Extreme Rules.
Yeah, it's Extreme Rules pay-per-view. Didn't we all kind of already assumed every match has Extreme Rules?
And
that and Shane McMahon doesn't have matches that aren't no holds barred. If Shane McMahon can't leave the ring, then what's the point of Shane McMahon out there?
I agree.
Justin LeBar, what's your favorite barred hold?
My favorite barred hold, probably the eye rake, the eye poke.
I'm a big fan of the back rake, but to the front.
So
it's got to be a hold. I take that back. Sleeper. Chinlock of Doom.
Solid answer. Hopefully we see some of these barred holds during the no holds barred match at Extreme Rules. Also tonight we did get a backstage video from Bobby Lashley. Meanwhile, they're talking about Braun Strowman hurt his spleen. They're making it seem like he definitely is worse for wear, whereas Bobby was cutting this video tonight. Looked like he might be in a hospital.
Hated it. They've shown. I mean, look, and props to Braun and Bobby, and props to the pyro and the tech and everybody. They made you only have one take to get that whole stunt right. You got one take for the LED board to break away, for the explosions, for everything, and they timed it and did it perfectly. The execution was great. So, and they've replayed it and showed it. The YouTube video is getting a ton of hits. It's great. I don't want to see 24 hours later Bobby Lashley talking to me. Give me a week. Let me think he's dead for a week. I don't want to see him.
Here's the problem. Braun was the aggressor in the situation. Bobby should have eaten it worse.
Thank you.
Braun.
Thank you.
Yeah. No, I wanted to see Bobby in a hospital bed, and then Leo Rush comes in with balloons and a teddy bear saying, "Get well soon." Please, Lord, it should have been me. Something. But Bobby talking tonight and cutting this promo, big mistake.
Hated it.
What's up? Have you heard anything about what's up with Leo Rush, Justin?
I think we've seen the last of him in WWE.
Wow.
Really? No way.
Right now, in this run, yes. In this run, yes.
They let him. You're saying they're going to let him go?
In this run, I think we have seen.
Dude, Leo, go to AEW, my man, and blow the bleep up.
I mean, the guy's young. The guy's like 24, so I'm not saying,
he's as athletic as they come, dude, and he will help that company even more because he fits in perfectly. Plus, he can cut promos. He can cut major league promos. That'd be if they're holding on to Gallows and Anderson, who've not been on television in 5 years. If they're holding on to Maria Kanellis and Mike Kanellis, who before 205 Live has not been seen, they've been outside a milk carton for 3 years. I myself did not know Maria, my buddy, my friend, my compadre, was on friggin' WWE contract. I didn't even know that, okay, until last night because I watched 205. Okay, so with all that said, they're gonna go to bat, WWE, and protect all these other talents. Okay, but they're not gonna protect the guy that is a much better fit for their new competitor, if you will. I don't want to call him competitor full time yet, but AEW than this guy who they put stock into more than any of those other talents.
Bro, Leo, I'm not arguing with you. Leo's a hell of a talent.
Go, dude. They would have done.
I hope you're right. I hope you're right, but I think sending a message to the locker room, Justin, for somebody being arrogant and cocky like he was, right? And he had all this heat on him. They do it right away. They don't let him just sit there and be, off to the side on the shelf. For him to be punished, they'll do that, yes. But when they're ready to release somebody, though, over it, so everyone in the locker room gets the message, this will not be accepted, they do it right away. They don't wait like this.
I think, so if the final nail in the coffin, if you had to speculate, Justin, do you think it was that he defended himself to some wrestling journalists and reached out directly to tell his side of the story after all the controversy about the supposed heat he had? I mean, do you think that was perhaps the mistake that has kept him off TV and completely unseen these past couple months?
I know that situation definitely didn't help. I mean, this dating again, and the guy's a huge. Matt's completely right. This guy he's 24 years old. This guy can cut promos. He's athletic. I'm not doubting his stock, but this goes back to even when he was still just at the Performance Center every day. He hadn't even been seen otherwise. I think it was Emma who got released or somebody. One of the girls. It started there. He had been with the WWE for a cup of coffee under contract, and he made some real. I think, and look, he was like 20 or 21. Like I said shit when I was 20 and 21 that but I think he's had unfortunately a lot of incidents where he stands by who he is, and that's good in the business where you got to be able to protect yourself. But I feel like maybe there's been just one too many things where it might be. He might disappear for a little bit. And again, maybe 3 years from now, he's back with WWE. But I really do think that this run, I think we might have seen the last for now. So, we'll see.
There you have it, folks. Quote Justin LaBar in that headline.
I know. That's just my opinion. Let's just remember it's my opinion here.
Yeah. Could you if Meltzer said that, oh, my God, the internet would break.
Well, let's call Leo. If he's talking to the rest of them, let's call him right now. Let's get him on.
There you go.
Point blank.
Gentlemen, talking about this tonight has been far more enjoyable and interesting than watching SmackDown was.
Yes, definitely.
So we have that going for us, at least. Now, we'll be back here Monday night to talk about Monday Night Raw, the go-home show before Extreme Rules. Matt Morgan, anything you want to plug before we take it home?
No.
Justin, what do you got? What should people check out on the interwebs?
At Justin LaBar. At Justin LaBar. Give me the follow.
I'm Glenn Rubenstein, at Glenn Rubenstein on Twitter, and we'll catch you back here next time on the Wrestling Inc. podcast. Take care.